the psychology and skills of exceptional leaders. I'm Ruth Kudzi, the founder of Ruth Kudzi Coaching. I transformed my life and my business, and I'm passionate about helping others do the same. People always want to know what makes a great leader, and there are lots and lots of skills that make you more likely to be a leader. So the first thing is humility. Knowing that you don't need to know everything and that you don't know everything. If the great leaders appreciate who they are, what they're good at, and are able to build teams around them that mean that they have a balanced skill set. Great leaders are not afraid of people telling them that they've got something wrong. So it's really about that self-awareness piece. And obviously through personal development and coaching and all of that kind of thing, you can develop that. So understanding, this is what I'm really good at. Maybe I'm a real big picture thinker. And if that's the case as a leader, who on my team can do the detail? Because you need both. And what people sometimes think is they live in this, they have this lens, the way that they see the world. Maybe they see big picture, maybe they see detail, maybe they lead through people, maybe they lead through tasks. And they don't really appreciate the other viewpoints. But great leaders understand that a balanced team has aspects of every kind of lens. So there are people that are really good at detail, there are people that are really good at collaboration, there are people that are more cautious, and there are people that take more risks, because then that gives you a whole range of different thinking. And that means that you're going to actually be able to move forward better. Because what you don't want as a leader is an echo chamber. You don't want people who are just carbon copies of you. Great leaders know who they are, what they're good at, and also what their blind spots are and where they need to be challenged. Obviously, some people have more awareness than others. So working with a coach can really help you identify, actually, what are my blind spots? But also, what are my strengths? What am I really good at? Where do I need to be spending my time? And I say to people who are running small businesses, but equally larger businesses, think about where you're at your best. Think about where you really excel. That's where you want to be spending your time. That's where you can get the most out of what you do. So who you are, your limitations, your blind spots, your shadow, if you want to call it that, and then building a team around that. It's one of the things that I learned when I was a new and emerging leader in the education sector. Like, build a team around you. Know who you are, understand who you are, and of course always grow, but build that team around you. And know that you may not always be right. Great leaders are not afraid to be challenged. And actually, they will build teams of people who are smarter than them and better at things than them, because they know that by doing that, they're going to perform better. So first of all, it's that humility and self-awareness piece. Second of all, great leaders coach their staff and their teams. There's a lot of evidence that the best and the most effective leaders spend more time coaching informally and having coaching style conversations with their teams than those who don't perform as well. I was training as a leader in education. I was actually training as a head teacher, although I never got there. But there was research that the most effective head teachers are those that spent the most time formally and informally coaching their staff. So they would be spending time working with their staff. Okay, what's going on here? What can you do to improve? And having those small conversations. Because actually, those small, maybe even micro conversations can really help people move forward. So great leaders are great staff developers. They see the potential in others, and they help the others see the potential in themselves too. Because we know that there are many people who are employed who are great at what they do, but they don't believe that they're great at it. So if you are a brilliant leader, you help those people see their strengths too. So you have a coaching mindset, you have a coaching skill set, and you appreciate that everybody has different ways that they want to be managed. Which leads me into number 3. Great leaders have empathy. They have empathy for others, and they understand that the person that comes into the workplace is a whole person. And so it's not only about their performance is impacted by everything. You know, there's this idea that, oh, you should just come into work and switch off. That's just not reality. If something's going on at home, that's going to impact you at work. And great leaders see their teams as whole people, and they appreciate them and they support them. Now, it's really interesting because lots and lots of organisations have different ways of incentivising and praising their teams. But actually this needs to be personalised. Some people thrive on praise. They love to be publicly praised. For them, that really helps them to develop. It helps them to perform better. Other people would hate to be publicly praised. They want their praise to be specific. They don't want praise for praise's sake. They want to know exactly why something's working well. Other people love incentives. They love to win prizes. They love to go on that holiday. But that doesn't work for everybody. So a great leader needs to understand the motivations of their team and what works for them. And this isn't about a one-size-fits-all. So great leaders really appreciate the individual differences of people on their team and the individual contexts, and they lead the whole team. They lead them as people, they lead them with compassion, and they lead them with empathy. They appreciate that the way that they do things may not be the way that other people do things and the way that other people see things. And they approach conflict and difficult situations with that same empathy, appreciating that everybody's going to see it differently. We all have different ways that we see the world, and we all have our personal preferences. So for example, some people can sit in a meeting and make a decision there and then. Other people need time to think. So a great leader makes sure that when they set up meetings or they're managing a change process, they appreciate that the individuals are going to have a different decision-making preference, and they enable them to have that. Giving people notes before a meeting. Some people are going to want that, some people aren't. Giving people time to make a decision. It's about understanding people. If you really want to lead effectively, you need to understand others. So humility and self-awareness, having that coaching style, empathy. Number 4, great leaders are not afraid to fail. Great leaders have growth mindsets, and they see failure as feedback, and they own that. They aren't people who are going to say, oh, well, actually it was my team. Because if you're the leader, the buck stops with you. If there's a mistake in my business, it's me. It's so easy to finger point at others, but great leaders take on that responsibility. Okay, they made that mistake. What did I do to contribute? What can I do differently? And they own their mistakes. They make it okay to get things wrong. They make it okay to realize that sometimes the decisions that they've made are not the best decisions. And it's actually okay to go back on decisions. That doesn't mean that you need to flip-flop the whole time, but it might be that, I don't know, for example, as a leader, you're like, okay, well, actually we're going to adopt this policy. 3 months down the line, the policy's not working. You're getting feedback from your team that this isn't something that works in your organisation. You have 2 choices. You can change the policy or you can ditch it. Well, you have 3. You could keep it even though it's not working. And a great leader will look at that data and evidence and not be afraid to say, actually, we tested this and I don't think it was the best thing. From actually implementing it, it doesn't seem to work. And it's really okay to do that. I see so many people who've got this fixed mindset in leadership, right? If we've decided that we need to do this, we need to stick by it. But actually having flexibility and having a mindset that is curious, that you know that maybe this decision that you made 6 months ago, now with new data and new evidence, isn't the best decision. In Adam Grant's book, which I know I talk about a lot, I am a massive fan, Think Again, he talks about, in Apple, they were saying about people were talking about having a phone as a mini computer, and lots of people are like, this will never work. But some people are actually, I'm curious, why don't we look at developing that? And that's how the iPhone was born. But in BlackBerry, don't know if you even remember Blackberries, they didn't develop. They stayed rigid, they stayed fixed. Let's look at what's happened to Apple and BlackBerry as organizations in the last decade. We can see that flexible, agile thinking, where you can challenge the norms, is what gets results. And that's across any business. Just because you've always done something some way, you can look at doing it differently, and it may not work out. Great leadership and great leaders can be developed. People seem to think that they're born, and lots of organizations seem to think that if you're good at your job, you'll be a great leader, but it's a different skill set. And like anything, you can develop that skill set. Great leaders can be developed by great coaches, building on that self-awareness, helping them to develop coaching skills, helping them to really understand who's working for them. I guess the only thing that may be more difficult for some is empathy. But I believe that you can develop anything if you want to. So really it's about creating company cultures that allow people to display that empathy, and realizing that that work-home divide is not real anymore. People are whole people. So the next video is going to be over here. Remember, please like it, subscribe, and leave me a comment.